thank you very much, and thank you for having me back again. Two things. So, in reflection, as I like to do on my earlier talk, the first one, so I'm going to try and talk slightly more slowly. So I think that it may have been slightly more difficult for the translators. I get quite passionate about what I do and what I talk about. And so I just try and slow down slightly. Hopefully that'll be good. And secondly, I think what I did earlier was to throw a lot of ideas at you, to really kind of go quite tangential and quite kind of unfocused. And what I'd like to do now is just bring that back together and really offer some focus as to what we do with organisations when we work with them. And I realise that I've probably set myself a massive task by claiming that we've managed to build a true learning organisation. This is something, this mythical beast that many of us have tried to deliver on for many years, and it's something which, still a little bit like unicorn poo, is quite difficult to come around. So let's see what we can do. So if we... Am I controlling the slides now, or there is a buzzer here, or if we can move on? Hey, okay. So, Phones for You. Phones for You are a big retail establishment in the UK, and they work across all of the different providers for telephones. So both from tariffs, so they work with the likes of Vodafone and Orange to be able to provide you with your plan. So you'll be able to go in there and actually get a particular contract from them for a mobile phone. But they also work with the manufacturers. So you'll be able to go in there and get the brand new Apple handset or the new Samsung Galaxy, whatever. They've got across head office and across their retail establishments about 4,500 people. And they faced a number of problems when we first started talking to them. Thank you very much. I'm in control now. So they're a retail establishment. I'm not sure what it's like here in Warsaw, but certainly back in London, a lot of the premises that Phones for You will have will be in malls, they'll be in shopping centres, they'll be in places with really poor connectivity. So network and being able to push anything e-learning is really, really difficult. The second part from a technology point of view is where they did have anything that they could connect to, it was going to be the till in store. Now, you don't really want to have someone going through an e-learning course while they're trying to serve customers. It's probably not particularly great for your business model if instead of taking somebody's money, someone's clicking through an e-learning course. So where there was technology, we couldn't really use it. The cost as well. So, we could think about putting people through face-to-face training. Well, that's again a real massive cost to a retail establishment. Taking people off the shop floor is expensive. That's time when, on part-time contracts, on fixed-term hours, you want your people working for you, putting money through the till for the amount of time that they're there. So it was going to be difficult for us to do any kind of real blended face-to-face kind of learning. And the third point is that their stock rotation is so fast. Now, I don't know, I change my mobile phone annually, and in that time, there's probably 30 different handsets that come out that you could potentially take. And we need to upskill people as fast as those handsets are coming out. They need to be technically proficient. They need to understand exactly what the selling points are of that particular handset. And what's happening is that they're geographically disparate. You've got people in retail establishments all over the UK. And someone in Reading may learn something which is an absolutely fantastic way of selling the new Apple. The new iPhone 5S, they realise that there's a really killer feature on it, that 9 times out of 10, if you show somebody that feature, they're going to buy that phone. But that best practice is really difficult to actually scale and actually share across an organisation unless we're able to use technology in some way. Because what would traditionally happen was that I may go to Perry is my line manager in the retail establishment. I might say, Perry, I've got this new way of doing something. And he may go, Dave, that's absolutely amazing. That's really spot on. And then after a month, he may go to the manager's meeting for that area. And he may go, my mate Dave, in our store, he's got this fantastic way of selling this iPhone. You know, if all your guys do this, I might take it up to regional area. Then the regional manager might go to the senior management team and go, hey, we should all be doing this. By the time it's got all the way up the flagpole there and then come all the way back down the other side as, you know, this is the way we now do this, the phone's obsolete. So we need a much faster way, and a much more networked way to actually allow people to pull the learning they need to be able to do their job at the time they need to do it. With problems with bandwidth and connectivity, with problems with, and also be able to change this content and keep it up to date as fast as we possibly can. Hey, so, we obviously, being Fuse, said, why don't you use Fuse? Why don't you use our platform? So, I kind of spoke about Fuse a little bit earlier, so I'm going to skim over the platform now, but what I would like to say is that there's lots of information. I've got to run off to the airport straight after this, but there's a lot of information outside about us. What I'd really like to do is to invite you all onto the platform. I'd like to set a community up for us, for everyone who's here today, so that we can then push case studies to you guys. You can understand a little bit more about what we're doing. We can get the different presentations which have been going on the platform, and you can really live and breathe and see what it's like within a Fuse community. So we'll do that for you guys. We'll get all of your passwords, email addresses and things, and we'll get those set up and sent out to you, so you can really, rather than me just talking you through it, live and breathe it. It's quite fun. So when we talked to Phones for You, they said, we want to be a learning organisation. We really want to live and breathe and empower our people. And we said, well, what does that mean? You know, what does it mean to you as an organisation? Not, let's throw a model at you. Let's really understand who you are and what that means to you, learning organisation. They said, well, we want people to be able to learn everywhere. We've got people who, you know, if we can get really engaging content to them, and Jerry was saying quite rightly about the 5 minutes, you know, we need to capture these people. They're used to using social platforms, but they're willing to actually learn in their own time. They've said to us, if we can have access to things on our mobile phones, on our own devices, we're happy to pull that when I'm on the bus, when I'm at home, when I'm kind of in my time, because I know that if I'm upskilled and I've got the latest knowledge, I'm going to be better at doing my job, which is going to be better for me. So they wanted to learn everywhere. They wanted people to be able to access this ubiquitously across all devices, wherever they were, sitting at home on their PlayStation, sitting on the bus, going to work on their mobile phone. They wanted to be able to pull learning, I should say, from, rather than from other people. So one of the things that Phones for You said is, we've got great people. We've got absolutely fantastic people who are learning every single day. They've got great experience. We want them to be able to pull that learning from other people at the point that they need it, and to learn from peers, rather than us pushing all this learning to them. And some interesting things happened on this, and if I remember to tell you later, if not, someone shout at me, difference between content provided by peers or content provided by manufacturers. It's really interesting. So they said part of the learning organisation to us is people pulling learning from other people. And this idea about the capturing of that experience. They've got a lot of people who are seasonal workers, a lot of part-time workers. They're needing to upskill people very quickly. But they want this idea of being able to, as soon as I learn something new, I can seamlessly capture that knowledge and share it with my peers to the benefit of everyone. And this was for 2 reasons. It wasn't only because of the fact that they're moving so quickly, but it was also actually that the reinforcement of that experience through having to teach it is an incredibly powerful way of learning. We did something as an aside just in our organisations. We got every single one of our staff to do an elevator pitch. We've got a lot of designers, a lot of animators who won't actually ever go out and see a client. But we said, we want you to be able to do the elevator pitch, who we are, where we come from, why we exist as a company. And everyone had to do a video. And when we went round and did some little kind of informal analysis, I said, how many times did you do it? On average, people did 3 to 4 versions of the video before they put the one up onto the platform. What that is, it's reinforcement of what it is that you're saying. And it's you going, actually, is that the best way I can explain it? Would someone understand it if I explained it in that way? And that's really powerful. So they wanted to be able to capture learning and do that sharing. So we launched Fuse, but we did a lot of stuff, and this is what's really important here, is that peer learning and social learning doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen without an awful lot of cultural change and buy-in. There's a number of reasons for this. Is that firstly, it's quite unnatural for someone to suddenly be in a position where you're saying, we really care about your experience, and we really care about you having a voice. That can be quite alien for some people, and that can be really quite nerve-wracking. So what we did was this was midway through last year, we launched in November last year. So right the way back in July, we started going out and talking to the retail staff, gathering things from them, gathering them data from them, saying, if you were to do this, what would you want from a platform? What would you want from rewards? What would you want from buy-in? And what would motivate you to actually do this? And so all the use case analysis that we did and all of the kind of the needs analysis for whatever it was we were going to be delivering and the way we were going to deliver it came from the people who were going to be using it and started to give them this feeling that they had a voice. So that when we started trickling images back to them, they said, we want gamification. So we built a leaderboard for them in Fuse to gamify what it is they do. So they get a point if they look at something, they get 2 points if they comment, share, like on something, and they get 3 points if they put a piece of knowledge into the platform and it's viewed by somebody else, which is key because it means you're not just throwing noise in there, you're throwing things in there which you believe are going to be of value to other people. So that's great. So they said, we want to, what do you want to call it? We gave them lots of different ideas, one of which was Fuse, and luckily that was the one they chose. So it meant we didn't have to change any branding on there. We said, what colours do you want? Well, they wanted it to be the blue and red. But at all of these different points, we were taking them on this journey with them. So that when we launched it, they felt that they'd already had their voice listened to and that this was their platform. What else did we do? Well, the key thing from launch point of view was that we had to get buy-in from senior management right the way down to store management. So as soon as I go in there on my first day, there's a message from my store manager saying, this is Fuse, welcome to Fuse, this is what we want you to do. Right the way up to the fact that the COO did a video of him creating spaghetti bolognese, which was something that he thought he could impart knowledge of, because he's apparently a very good chef, in a light-hearted way to say, I'm giving you carte blanche to go and do this. What they did is they launched it as their YouTube of knowledge. They said, you can put anything up there that you want as long as it's knowledge that's going to be of value to somebody else. We've had 2 pieces taken down off the site, one of which I've not worked out what it was, the second of which I can only understand that he's either a really bad dancer or his hoovering technique's awful, because it was a guy in a store after hours hoovering till it's raining men. Why you'd ever want to put that up there, I have no idea, but that was the only piece that we've ever had to take down. To the point where, actually, this chap here, he's on holiday in Jamaica, and he's producing a video about the theft triangle in retail, so the fact you need opportunity, you need something that you need to want to steal, and I can't remember the third side, I need to go back and watch the video again. But he sat there in Jamaica and thought, I'm going to share this knowledge with people. So, once it launched, what happened? Well, why do we think that we've achieved the kind of the true learning organisation? Well, we launched only on mobile phone. No one ever knew that there's actually a desktop, laptop, web-based platform that you can actually use. In 5 months, we've had 3,500 peer-created videos. On peak day, we had 15,000 views and engagements from only 4,500 people. That's people pulling this learning to their mobile devices. We've got an average over that 5-month period of 25% of their people using it daily. But the biggest ROI calculation, and what I'd like to leave you with to think about, is the power of peer-created content. I just want to jump back. Knitting. Here's a guy, this is a great illustration of the point of the fact that he didn't know that we've got the screencaster in Fuse. So what he did is he got his phone out of his pocket and recorded the camera, the computer screen, which is actually a great reason to realise that the quality of your content is secondary to actually the message and what's going on there when we're talking about peer-created content. Final thing, Knitting realised that traditionally what you did when someone wanted to come in and use their change their tariff was that you rang up O2, Orange, Vodafone, whoever it was that they were with. And you spent, on average, about half an hour on the phone while the customer's waiting, getting more and more annoyed with you. He realised now they've all got live chat. And that if he used live chat to be able to communicate this with people, it cut that half an hour down to, on average, 3 minutes. He created a video on this. He shared it in 1 week. It got 1,500 views. A conservative estimate from Phones for You is that that single 3-minute video has saved them over 18,000 man-hours per annum. Purely from a socially created video from a guy sitting in a store which would never get shared. That knowledge would have sat and been siloed and been used by maybe 30 people. It's now had over 1,500 people view it. It's now been extended. It's now part of the process within Phones for You. And that is the power of social learning. 18,000 man-hours saved per annum. Thank you very much.